Hello, my name is Guy Jones. I'm originally from the Standing Rock Reservation in South Dakota. I am full-blooded Hunkpapa Lakota. In the history books, you are taught to call my people Sioux. Sioux, of course, is a word that, that is not a part of our linguistic family. So, it's like, but we are Lakotas. I am Lakota because that is the language that my people speak, and Hunkpapa is my responsibility. That is a different perception that most of you will probably ever hear about. But, it's I came here to Ohio in 1981, and when I came here to Ohio, there were these places, and I began to walk these places and visit these places, and I was like, now remember I said I'm Lakota. And I was born and raised on the Standing Rock Reservation, and what we refer to as the Lakowichoha, which is a way of living. That's how my background, that's my experience. So how I look and view these earthworks are from that perspective. And that was one of the things, is that as I begin to look at these earthworks and I begin to read and communicate and talk with members of the various communities, the archaeological community, the various historic communities, and these organizations and groups that oversaw these sites, I began to realize the dialogue, in a sense, the dialogue with which their history and their knowledge came from, where they were coming from. I understood it, but I also, they were having a hard time understanding where I was coming from. And so it created a dialogue. And that was one of the things, is that I want to really encourage people, because with those dialogues, to gain a better understanding of what these sites really are. And once we gain that understanding, maybe then, America, as what we know to be, America will understand that how sacred and special these places really are. And I mean, that the stories, today, June 21st, is International World Peace and Prayer Day. This is part of, because most of our stories and our way of life is part of, our stories come from creation. And when we look at creation, the alignments, not only the lunar alignments, but the solar alignments, they are significant in our way of life and our way of living. It affects not only culturally, but even spiritually. We can relate to them. And this is that time of the year when all of us, when we look at this time, it is special because of just the significance of the solstice itself. This year is going to be kind of special, mainly for the fact that there's going to be a solar eclipse on June 21st, but also too the fact that people are going to be gathering. And we're asking people to gather all over the world. My cousin, Orville Lookenhorse, years ago with the birth of the white buffalo calf, received, a message, and he wanted to bring that message to the world, that on this day that we gather and we all come together, people from all walks, because we all speak the same language. It just sounds different. And that was one of the things that, so we are, when we look at humanity, we need to begin to look at life itself from that one family, that one prayer, one faith, from that oneness of all things, because we have a relationship, and having that relationship in regards to what is here, what has been, and what we have to come. And those are we have the ability to make a better tomorrow. And those stories, all of those things are here, and they are part of our stories and other stories as well. Over the years, I've had the opportunity to walk these grounds and visit with various people from different nations of indigenous people, and people from South America, from Oklahoma. A lot of people in Oklahoma, this is their ancestral homeland, and we must always remember that. And I always remember that. And when I walk these grounds, I always, I listen. I listen to their stories, because their stories, I find a commonality in those stories. And and it's like, and that's one of the things, is that if we begin to listen to one another, we'll actually begin to find our common ground, the commonality of humanity. And that's one of the things that I really encourage people, in a sense, to listen to each other, for to develop these understandings, these relationships, to listen. So I've listened to those stories and the significance of these sites and these earthworks, and how these earthworks, and everybody related that I've talked to, whether they were Comanche or whether they were Potawatomi, they were those stories. The Shawnees have stories. The Lenape people, they have stories. And I listen to those stories. The Senecas, they have stories, and they can relate to these sites. And so there's a commonality, and how important these sites are, and what it tells us about not only who we are culturally, but it also gives us a very deep insight into the spiritual aspect of who we are. And there's a lot of people today who have a tremendous amount of concerns in regards to these things are getting lost and forgotten. Well, they're right here. They're right here on these grounds. And if we would just take the time to go and to come here and to visit these sites and see these places, we would see the cultural and spiritual significance of these earthworks that are here in Ohio. And there's a lot of them. And it would literally take weeks to visit all of these sites. And these are our stories. This is our place, and they are special, and they are sacred. And this is, one of the things that what we're encouraging people to do is that, to come to these sites, visit them, but also to, on June 21st, because of what we are currently in today in regards to the pandemic, we're asking people to, stay within your home. You can stay within your home and light a candle. Light a candle and let that flame unite with other flames throughout the world, so that we can create this uniqueness, a better future for all of us, for humanity. And say your prayers. Prayer is very powerful. And, so that's what we're saying. It's like one prayer. Many faiths, one prayer. And if we will all pray and unite as a people for a better tomorrow, there's power in that. And that's something that we as human beings, the two-leggeds, we can go and do and accomplish on that day, June 21st.